I think there's 3 steps that I've trying to implement in my own life is I use AI. The first thing is just paying attention to your first instinct. When you experience difficulty in life, when it's hard, when relationships are challenging, when you experience fear or shame or guilt or worry, like this world is genuinely really, really confusing sometimes. When you experience that, where are you going first? When you have a question about something, just take a moment of reflection and pause. Where am I going first? Because I can tell you the vast majority of the time, where am I going first? Boom. I'm going to my phone. I'm trying to
Calling your
Google
mom, right?
something. Yeah.
You're going to your phone to call your mom to ask her the right
Uh-huh.
answer.
I mean, like everything is at our fingertips now. So
Yeah.
just ask, like, am I going to a person here or am I going to a platform? Am
Hmm.
I going to someone who can know me or am I going to Google who's going to feed me to an algorithm? Like the instinct of where we go, I think we need to pay attention to. It's just a recognition. That's the first thing. The second thing is we need to discern how we're using AI because the things that we use are forming us as human beings. We can't get away from that. How I think of this is like, who am I becoming using AI? What kind of person am I becoming? Because like AI, it's not just imitating a relationship. It's also removing me from a relationship that's good for me. And that's really essential. I think, and what I would argue is the more that we lean on it, we are becoming people who less embody the image of God than we should be. Because like there's studies that show it deforms our critical thinking skills. It removes us from real relationships. It causes us to continually take the easy road. And I think that's deforming us as human beings. Like, am I becoming the type of person that is a person characterized by peace? Where in Philippians 4, I think of Paul talking about what do we do with our anxiety? Like we bring it to the Lord, we confess, we give thanksgiving, we're in relationship with him. And what's promised in Philippians 4, it's a peace that surpasses all understanding. Am I becoming a person who just, removes all my systems? That's the appeasement piece. Or am I becoming a person of peace given by God in real relationship that has the ability to persist empowered by God through the difficult circumstances in my life? Or am I just someone who just wants to quiet all the symptoms in my life all the time? I think, to me, that's what's sobering about AI and using it as a therapist. It's removing us from relationships. And I think it's forming us into people who we're going to look 20 years down the road and be like, I don't know if I like this anymore. I don't feel whole. I don't feel like I'm flourishing anymore. So we need to discern that. Who am I becoming? And then finally, I would say move towards embodied relationships with someone. So just think even certain things, the Sophist, the sycophants, like appeasement versus peace, things we've talked about in this episode, talk about it with someone else. Don't be alone in this. Don't bring it to an AI. Have a conversation about it. Instead of asking, when you have a question, one of the things that struck me most in the recent months of speaking events is usually there's like Q&A afterwards. People come forward, they talk to you. I have had 3 or 4 experiences now where someone asks a question to me, they come up afterwards, and then you can sense like, okay, there's another question coming after this. And they say, well, I have another question, but I guess I can just go Google it afterwards. So no big deal. You can move to the next person. And, that's another thing that struck me of just like, okay, if you have a question, go to someone and ask a friend about it because you can get your easy answer through AI. But why don't you reach out in relationship? And even if it's a dumb question that you could Google it, ask your friend, hey, have you ever thought about this? I have this question. I don't know. And then process it together. That's one of the things that makes life most meaningful because it's what we were created for. So bring it to someone. Think about how do we think about this concept biblically, and just ask your questions to your friends.